Can you hear me, Avery? I have you unmuted on my end, so you might have to unmute yourself.
Oh, you're a genius.
Awesome. Okay, cool. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty great. Excited to start lessons again.
Nice. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. So, what? How's Melee been going? I haven't been following a lot, so I don't know where you're at right now.
It's been going the best it ever has been,
That's it.
which is really good. Yeah, they're gonna do a 6 month ranking period this year, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna be somewhere like in the top 20 or somewhere near the top 20.
Let's say.
So definitely an improvement from at least like the summer of last year where I was kind of slumping.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my recent results are good. I generally only lose to really good players. I still feel unsatisfied losing to these people though. Like I've lost to Swedish like 3 times this year or something. But like every time I lose to like either like Lucky or Swedish or some of these top 20 players, I feel like I can always win, and
Mm-hmm.
that feels really good. But yeah, I have like one or two kind of weird losses, and that's like it. So my consistency is feeling a lot better.
That's pretty good though. Um, do you have anything in particular you want to ask me or focus on, or do you just want to start watching that?
I don't necessarily have anything in particular. I think it would be good to start with watching some
Yeah,
matches,
I
maybe
think
just
that's
going through the
great.
motions.
Okay. Do you want to link me something?
Yeah, I have two sets, and I'm curious which one maybe you might want to do.
Okay.
Because I played a set against Leffen at Gommel, and
Okay.
that went 3-1. He beat me, but I felt like I was playing really, really well,
Okay.
which I think might be an interesting set because a lot of times I feel like when I'm playing well, I don't lose. But when you're playing against somebody like Leffen, it's like,
Yeah.
well, he's still going to do that. And a very similar thing with a set that happened with Mango, which are Falco Dittos,
Oh, interesting.
that happened at Smash and Splash. I was playing well. I feel like he was playing well, and he beat me 3-1.
Okay.
So do you have a preference of the two that you'd rather talk about? Because I mean, I feel like I know more about the Fox matchup.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so maybe the Falco Ditto would be better.
Okay. Let's do Falco Dittus.
Okay, cool. You want me to just PM you this link?
Yeah, just send it to me, and then I'll post it. What's this? I'm hyped to watch Falco Dittus.
I think even since this set, I do feel like I've gotten a little bit better of an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went to Summit Point 5 and I ended up playing with Mango and West Balls for like the entire day, and
Oh.
then I went to Summit and then West Balls was there for a full day and we played for like 4 hours and I played with Mango a ton even there.
Mm-hmm.
And I also did some like review of Mango versus Rocky and West Balls versus Bimbo with Squid recently,
Oh, okay. So
and
you looked at it a bunch.
I've been trying to look at it a bunch, yes, because it's
That's
one of the most frustrating matchups for me because I feel like I kind of just do Falco stuff, and sometimes I win, and sometimes I feel like it's really random.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's figure this out. Mango definitely
Perfect.
plays a little differently than everyone else. So,
Mm-hmm.
did you click the link I posted?
I did click the link that you posted. It says loading. Please
Okay,
wait.
try clicking on the video, like just anywhere in the middle.
Oh,
And
okay,
it
yeah,
should play.
yeah, it's playing now.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the beginning. Did it go back to the beginning?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do, I don't know if you've seen me give a first lesson before, but since I haven't been like watching you super avidly or anything, I'm gonna watch for like 2 minutes silently, probably.
Okay.
Get an idea so that I can pick out what I think is the most important stuff, essentially, instead of just latching on to whatever I see first.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll ask you what you think, and we can compare like what we thought the biggest things in the match were. And
Okay. Ooh, I like this.
cool. Okay, so should be playing, and just give me like 2 or 3 stocks to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my Okay, let's go ahead and stop. So
Okay.
give me your thoughts.
Okay. So there's a bunch of stuff that I feel like I could have done better. Initially, it was kind of like I flubbed some tech skill that like really should have been not that hard to do. Like I did a standing laser on the side platform. I missed a waveland on the top platform to get a punish.
Mhm.
I think a couple times, even just within my punishes, I like messed up what I was trying to do, and then I just tried to like kind of recover in a bad way.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, I agree pretty strongly. So like execution and then what happens when you mess up, right?
mhm, definitely. And then a few other things. It's like within my combo choices, I think my move priority is pretty bad. Like there was an instance where he tech rolled on a side platform and I could have punished on reaction. And like it would have even been better to just like do a forward smash or something. But I did a dash attack and he slide offed, and it was like, why did I do a dash attack on the
Like
side
just take
platform?
the damage.
Exactly. I could take the damage. I could do a run off shine. There's like a million things that I could have done. And the bad thing about that is that I could have chosen my option like on reaction, and I just chose to do a bad one, which
Uh-huh.
felt bad. I also feel like Mango kind of outpatiented me a little bit. There were multiple instances where I jumped off of the side platform straight into him waiting,
Uh-huh.
um, and that felt kind of bad because I think I was expecting him to maybe push a little bit harder. Um, but he mixed it up well. Like I went to the side platform one time, and then he aggressed on me and did a jump shine,
Uh-huh.
and caught like a full combo off of it. Um, so I think that he was definitely like watching at least like where I like to go, and he just like once he felt that was my escape pattern and this is where I felt comfortable, he kind of just got on top of me. So I
Uh-huh.
think I was a little bit predictable. Um, and then the last thing that I noticed is that I think that he was jumping at really good times, like full hopping, or using his double jump, and I was just kind of doing it when I felt uncomfortable, and I
Uh-huh.
think that was really bad.
Okay, cool. Um, so I noticed a lot of the same things you did, but I think I framed them slightly differently in my head.
Hmm.
So when I watched it, I kind of split it into categories. So the categories I had in my mind were um, execution errors, um, overextensions, and then missed chances to capitalize on things. Which, and that
Mm-hmm.
one has like two parts. The parts I saw were like not taking free things when he gave them to you, even though you had yourself in the right position and everything. And then sometimes it was like you had a good position and then didn't do much with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the reason I say I'd frame it differently is because all the things you said about like you being like antsy or uncomfortable, I
Mm-hmm.
actually think were closely related to the execution stuff
Mm. That
and the
makes
over
sense.
and the capitalizing. Because generally, I noticed that if you had just messed up, or if you failed to capitalize sufficiently when like you knew you had it, either because you messed up or because you just didn't go for it,
Mm-hmm.
that's usually when you did something that you shouldn't have done.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I don't know if I would say Mango was like reading you there. I mean, maybe he was, but it was definitely one of those things where it was like his natural way of playing aligned well against you because I feel like he's like, oh, well, there's no reason not to wait here. And you were like, I didn't get my thing. Let me do whatever.
Yeah.
So I think framing all those things in terms of your own decisions is probably pretty important.
Yeah.
So let's go back and watch from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the not capitalizing, I think there were lots of times you did the exact right thing and then didn't actually hit him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was pretty huge. Watching you
Okay.
play Mango reminded me a lot of me playing people because it was like, look, you did it, you just didn't like, finish doing it, you know. So
Right.
let's look at it more specifically. But I think you talked about all the best things. Just like if we reframe it, I think it'll help you fix them better.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I don't know if you went back to the beginning, but it's still playing at
okay,
like
let
226.
me try one more time. Can we go back to the
Okay.
beginning now?
Yes, it is now
Okay,
back at the beginning.
sorry.
Just the other thing that I remember that I did really poorly too was I edge
Mhm.
guarded abysmally. It was very
Yeah,
bad.
the edge guards weren't good, but I trust that like you understand a lot of what went wrong
Yeah.
there. So yeah, missed execution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even getting hit on the top platform was actually missed execution. A lot of people might not notice that, but like if you look here, you get up there, you
Mm-hmm.
actually it looks like you missed the L cancel potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Mango goes for like a bear that like honestly wasn't very good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because of that string of missed execution, that happens, and then that's when you just went for hitting him.
Right.
So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see this. I like this. So there, I thought you'd shield drop double jump there.
Oh, I definitely should have. That's a situation where I feel like I've just been conditioned to shield drop every time in my brain because I feel like it's the good thing.
Uh-huh.
But I should definitely be like, I mean, in other situations too, I should be wave dashing off or just like jump bear or shield drop double jump bear. You're
Yeah,
super.
yeah, just something there, right?
Yeah.
So that was a good example of, again, I actually feel like Mango's not reading you successfully so much as there's this dichotomy where, like, when he reads you wrong, you're not hitting him for it. And then when he
Yeah.
reads you right, it's working. So it creates this very skewed feeling when you're playing of, wow, he knows what I'm going to do. But in reality,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, he's actually guessed wrong plenty of times already.
That
Does
is
that make
really
sense?
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I actually think the way you're playing has been plenty good, but if you miss these couple things, then it gets really skewed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing is when Mango, this is just a Mango specific thing, a lot of the times he attacks on platforms, he actually doesn't have time, and you know he doesn't have time, so you just think he won't actually do it.
Right. Yeah.
So like the time on the top platform, had you hit your L cancel, that wouldn't have hit you. There was a time on the right side where he caught you with the jump shine, but
Mm-hmm.
like it was the thing where you knew he didn't have time if you did anything else, so you just didn't bother shielding it.
Right.
Yeah, so like I don't know if I think Mango's just on that next level, but I really think you're just not expecting it because, like, if you were playing Kalindi, he'd never attack you there because you both
Mm-hmm.
know there's no reason to.
Right.
So let's look at that when it happens. So this time you capitalized really well. Bad edge guard, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. Um, I don't want to focus too much on details because I want to get the big picture stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Um, Cleaned up the first. So let's see. So honestly, this whole first stock, if we go back and look at it, I feel like if you didn't mess up execution and then you capitalized when it was free and then you didn't go in badly after you messed up, like that wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
been a close stock at all, right?
Right.
So let's watch the rest of the game with that in mind, and I think you'll see a lot of that still happening.
Okay.
So this is all good. Overextended a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually curious, why do you think this happened? Like if you had to, because like I obviously see the idea. You're like, okay, maybe I can jump shine him in time.
Yeah, I was just thinking that like he might just wait for me on the side platform, and so I might just be able to like jump shine. And I try to position it in a way that like if he shielded, I could shield poke.
Uh huh.
But like it was probably just a bad idea. The
It
chances
was
of
just
this
like,
working out.
yeah, it was a little greedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of relied on him like not just thinking that you might hit him. Which, funnily
Yeah.
enough, if you reverse the scenario, Mango might have done a very similar attack to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of funny that like what you'll notice a lot with the best players I've noticed is like Mango or Leffen or something. They'll do something and you're like, why would you do that? That wasn't that good. But then when you
Mm-hmm.
try to do it to them, they're ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask a question because maybe this is something interesting to talk
Yeah,
about.
sure.
I feel like I go for, specifically in this matchup, I go for a lot of like early jump shines to try and catch Falco when he's at low percent because I feel like I have a really hard time attacking him when I'm at like a percent deficit. Like if I'm at like 100 and he's at 0, I
Yeah.
feel like I have to take this big risk with something like a jump shine, which again is like probably one of the other reasons I even went for this. Because I feel like I don't have the ability to just like tack on damage safely. Do you feel like that's a problem in the matchup or
That's a good question. So I think it's like I'll put it like this. I think that even when I'm at high percent,
mm-hmm.
anytime he actually wants to really hit me, if assuming he's not just like platform camping me or something, if he
Yeah.
wants to land like a clean hit on me, he's always engaging in some form of RPS that could go very badly for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess when I'm at high percent, I'm not too worried because like, if he tries to laser and then dash dance and then I just approach him and he gets hit, like he gets fucked. Or if he tries to,
Mm-hmm.
Laser approach and I get a shine out of shield or like, a dash dance, whatever, like all of those things could go really badly for him. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I
So,
feel like
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say like a lot of the ways I feel like I kind of like try to safely approach in this matchup is like I'll move to the platforms and I'll like try to do aerials coming down. And I
Mhm.
feel like I either get crouch canceled or like I down air the Falco out of the air and then they just reversal me.
Yeah,
But,
so I think you should use the platform then just to like get the new positioning and get a laser out.
Right, and then just get back into like regular RPS
Yeah,
situations.
because if you think of it like think about how demoralizing it is to be like 3 stock 0, the other guy's at 4 stock 120. You guys are
Hmm.
just playing neutral, and then when you try to do something, you guess wrong, and then you eat like the next 60 damage again.
Yeah, yeah, that
Like
makes sense.
you can really push the fact that like he can't hit you cleanly without some sort of RPS interaction unless he really, really only leverages like trades and back air and stuff like that. But if
Hmm.
he's doing that, then he's not really taking meaningful risks. So I feel like it's pretty easy to play safe around that.
Yeah, definitely.
So he kind of has to do one of those two things. And I think it's fine to like, again, if I was the or low percent Falco at 0, I'd just leverage really safe backers and stuff and hopefully like out trade you. But
Hmm.
then again, that gives you lots of chances to do what you want.
Right.
So I actually think like, you shouldn't feel any pressure. You can
Hmm.
just be like, oh, well, I'm in the lead. Like, good luck doing something. Because if I get this hit, you're going to really get behind.
Yeah, I think that kind of just we talked about me being antsy and everything. I just think it makes a lot of sense given the
Mhm.
context of the set.
They're very related, right? And that's why
Hmm.
I think framing everything in the context of each other is going to be really helpful.
Hmm.
So let's see the next talk. So it starts off fine. Um, I think this is a good example of okay, you ended up next to each other.
Hmm.
Um, and it wasn't a bad scenario for you at all, but you like super far retreating lasered,
Hmm.
which gave Mango time to laser. And I don't think that was bad. Like I would definitely do something similar. But I've definitely noticed that like Mango pretty much never does things like that.
I know. This is actually this would I mean, as we continue our lessons, this is one thing that I maybe want you to help beat out of me. My like scramble habit is to just back away and laser every
Yeah,
single
yeah.
time. Like
So we have
every
to switch
single
around.
time.
So I think
Uh
maybe the easy solution is well, one, let's talk about the up tilt you did in the first place. It wasn't a bad up tilt, but it was kind of like this. I feel like it's more likely to trade than actually win a scenario. I don't know if that's
yeah.
right, but I kind of feel that way.
Hmm.
Um, and there's just so many ways he can get down that like I feel like, especially since if he was at maybe 10 or 20, the up tilt would be better. But since he's at literally 0, I think it's unlikely to lead to something.
Yeah.
Do you think that's reasonable?
Yeah, definitely. In the analysis that Squid and I did, Bimbo and Westballs like to go on the top platform a lot, and
Hmm.
so we would look at this situation, and sometimes they would like try to up tilt each other from below, and it feels like that's like the high risk, high reward sort of
Yeah,
option. Like if you get down aired and you're at 0, like you just get down air shine big comboed, and like if you get the up tilt, sometimes you can get like up tilt shine whatever. But
yeah.
like a lot of the times, like even if you get the like timing correct on the up tilt, it does trade and like
Yeah, it either
sometimes it doesn't work out
trades
for you.
or it's too low percent or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this matchup's actually super. I mean, most matchups are percent specific, but this one especially. Like when
Hmm.
the other Falco's at 0, I think I almost never up tilt. But then as soon as they're at like about 10, 15, that's when I'm willing to start up tilting.
Hmm. Okay.
And I think when he's at 0 on the top platform, I would look for situations where I can back air because back air has like more hits done, bigger hitbox,
Yeah.
more damage. And I think getting that damage is helpful. And then the other thing is like if you just get Mango to come down and you're not up tilting, you can put him in a bad situation pretty quickly.
Hmm. What do you think of if he was on the top platform in this situation and instead of up tilting? What if I did like a dash turnaround full hop lasers and then like land on the side platform? So I'm like lasering up at the top platform, but I end up on the side. Do you think that that's like kind of good?
I think it's like pretty. It's one of those options that's pretty neutral, where it's like he can stay on the top platform and there's not immediately anything you can do about it.
Hmm.
And then if you do that option, it gives you like a very slight advantage if he stays up there. But then if he comes down, you kind of lost your position.
Yeah, that makes
So it's one.
sense.
There's a lot of options, I guess, in melee where like they can do something that creates a stalemate, and you have the choice to get like a very small advantage versus the stalemate, or just do nothing. And
Yeah.
I guess it depends on what type of player you want to be. A lot of the times, I find that like I'm like, it's going to be a stalemate anyway. I don't really care enough about the small advantage to do it. But
Hmm.
like, if you did do it, I wouldn't say you're wrong because it's just like, well, if he comes down, you didn't really lose much because he can't really hit you on the side platform either.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought process
Yeah.
too. And like this idea came to be when like Squid had been beating West Balls. He beat him like the last 4 sets or whatever. And like here I am, I've only beaten West like once or twice or something in my
Mhm.
career. And he was like, yeah, dude, he just tries to camp the top platform. So I just laser him while he's up there. And then he would come down, and he's not very good at like doing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff once he
So
comes
like
down.
that gets him to come down. But I feel like I guess theoretically that's not a worse position for him.
Yeah, definitely. And I
But like
also feel like
West, yeah.
I was gonna say that getting Mango to come down is not like the same thing as getting West to come
No, no, not
down.
at all. Because like Mango's gonna come down anyway, and like I would too, because like we know we can't accomplish much on the top platform.
Mm-hmm.
But like West doesn't care if he can accomplish something, so he's down to just chill up there.
Right.
So yeah, I think thinking about the risk reward on the percents, and then like like you said, not just retreating lasering.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we have the platform thing where in your mind you're like, okay, it's neutral. Why would you try to hit me here? And then he just goes. But like if you had just been ready or like expected Mango to do kind of the newbie thing, then it would have been fine, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's just hard to expect players like that to do the newbie thing.
Yep. And it's kind of a pacing thing where you're sitting there like, all right, like he's doing all these smart things. Like, oh, all of a sudden he's like, okay, I'm going to do this. But like, that's where like, if you're playing like an Armada, that's why like Armada style is good. Cause like, he just never gives you the credit. And he just repeatedly is like, okay, I'm going to wait till you finally do it. And then he kills you.
Yeah.
Which you don't have to play that way. But again, I think like you kind of have the option of you can either be like Armada and just always be ready for it. Or you can just have the awareness the whole match of like being able to switch between he's actually playing me versus he's just going to go for this.
Yeah.
And obviously that's harder, but if you're good enough to do that, then I think it's like very reasonable to be like, okay, look, I understand this position.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it is that in your mind, you're just like, okay, I'm going to reposition to the top platform or the side platform because that's the safe thing. But Mango moving forward during that time probably threw you off.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think realizing that during the transition in positions, you probably weren't paying enough attention.
Mm-hmm.
Because in your mind, this is just like, I'm just switching. There's no reason for anything to happen here. He should probably be looking for something, and then he's already moved forward.
Mm-hmm.
So let's keep watching though. So you get, let's see. So you get your combo. I think at some point soon you mess up.
Yeah, I definitely mess up pretty hard here.
Oh, it was here where you hard read the tech roll.
Yeah. So I hard read the tech roll, and then I like mess up a wave dash, then mess up a laser. It's just ugly.
And then it's like, okay, so let's see what you do now that you've messed up. You kind of just try to move forward, but like I think Mango had frame advantage there because you were just ground lasered.
Mm-hmm.
So if he has slight frame advantage and you both approaching laser, like he's gonna win that, right?
Definitely.
So that was an example of like something random goes wrong and then you try to do something with it. It's very similar to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what do you think you maybe should have done after messing up there?
I think I could have potentially like shielded an approaching laser. I could have moved to the side platform again, or I could have done like a laser in place, which I feel like doesn't have any
all three of those are exactly what I think. Because if you laser in place, that kind of makes up for the advantage of him moving forward because you have time. You can shield it, obviously, and then do something. You can move to the side platform. I think all of those three things are definitely the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if you really want to like guess what he's gonna do in advance, I wouldn't normally do this, but sometimes I just run forward and take the approaching laser he's gonna do. Because on the off chance he doesn't laser, I'm still taking the space. So it's kind of like what you did with taking the space, but since I'm not lasering, he'll hit me off the ground, so then I still have access to like good RPS options.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like, oh, I run forward, and then let's say I know that this player, anytime they think they have an advantage, they're just gonna like laser aerial. I can run forward, take the laser, turn up tilt, or run forward, shield the laser, jump shine out of shield, whatever. So yeah, So I think again, messing up into overextending seems to be a theme.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, Mango's kind of the opposite of that, where he's like, oh, and then see again, we went to the platform attacked. So it's like you haven't got your footing, but every time you've had your footing, I feel like you've been winning.
Yeah, I feel similarly.
Which is sick, though. It should make you feel like pretty good, ideally, even though like obviously you could have done better.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious, why did I double jump there?
No, let's go back.
Yeah, I don't know if this was actually a good idea. I maybe just thought that I could get a punish. Did he slide off that shine?
Yep, he slid off. Yep.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense then, I guess.
So he slides off. You're getting ready to, do something. So I think that's another thing, right? Where like when Mega slides off unexpectedly, you might not be ready, and then you get hit. But I guarantee you, if the opposite thing happened, Mega would just be ready to counter like the obvious option after the slide off. There's something else I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so in general, it seems like when he full hops, you kind of get confused.
Yeah.
So let's go back and look at one, and I want to figure out if you're just not seeing him full hop, or if you're just thinking you have time to do something. So let's watch this. Okay, it's right before this one where he down airs you, and I think you full hop into it on the right side. So you guys switch sides here, right here. Oh wait, no, did I not? Didn't go far back enough.
I feel like I know the one that you're talking about. Even.
Yeah, I think it must happen here.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about that. Do you think you saw the full hop and then tried to hit him anyway?
I think I was just trying to aggress really early, thinking that he was going to laser out of the corner, which is why I did the nair.
Okay.
And then as soon as I did the nair, I was like, oh shit, he full hopped over me. What do I do? And like I did not know what to do.
Okay, so you didn't have a plan. So I think
no.
So this one's tricky because it depends on like exactly when he full hopped.
Mm-hmm.
So given that he full hopped here, I feel like the easy answer is just to dash back to center.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem like a good option?
Definitely.
I think dash back to center is the easy one. But I think the real issue here isn't that you're not capable of coming up with the answer. It's like you didn't have the answer ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe you should just do some thinking on your own about like when they full hop based on how you got there or what you're doing, like what you should do afterwards.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And I think if you just put like a little bit of effort into that, either when you're playing or when you're VOD watching, I think you'll probably come up with answers pretty easily.
Yeah. I just think it's so apparent that like I didn't have an answer because my response was to try and like full hop back air him for some reason.
And I think that's been a trend in this match that like when he full hops or double jumps, you don't always get hit, but your answer often isn't very good.
Mm-hmm. I definitely feel that way.
And it doesn't look like you're not seeing it though, because you literally tried to jump and hit him. So you clearly like reacted to it and knew that he was jumping.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious. So you have the AC Bear Shine thing going on, and that's like the maybe second or third time you've done it in the match.
Mm-hmm.
How good do you think the Shine was?
How good do I think the Shine was?
Yeah, after the AC Bear.
The one that connected on his shield or the one before?
The one where you shined his lights.
Really bad.
Okay, really? So why was it really bad?
Well, I obviously didn't land on top of him out of the auto cancel back air, and I think I probably could have reacted to that fact, and I could have just repositioned myself or done something different, and instead I committed myself kind of just on muscle memory.
Yeah, and I think it's a pretty easy thing to do, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that also early in the match you had a similar one. So I think like if you just went through all your AC bears or played some sessions where you paid attention to every time you AC bared, and really try, or maybe shadow box it with a CPU or 20XX and just like AC bear and really pay close attention to what happens. And if you can learn to change your option there, I think it'll help a lot. Because Shine is the right option like 75% of the time.
Right.
But like when it's not the right option, I feel like that's one of the easiest ways to get outplayed. Especially because it's like, oh, I shined, but then the Sheik was out of range and she F tilted me, and then you lose your shot.
Or like Falcon dash dance grabs around your Shine.
Yeah, exactly.
After the auto cancel back air. And then you have this feeling of like, oh, I just shouldn't auto cancel back air because like I'm getting whiff punished. But like in reality, I'm choosing the wrong option after the auto
afterwards. Yeah, there's so many situations with Falco where the first option, even if it's not amazing, was still really hard to deal with. So everyone just beats the thing after.
Yeah. Oh,
and it's frustrating because
opened my brain up.
of the time, Shine is the right option, but then that 25% of the time is when you lose your stock.
Yes, definitely.
Oh. So it's just like that changes a lot, I think, and I could see that being a problem for you in other matchups potentially.
Definitely.
Then the Falco Ditto, I guess it didn't matter too much because Falco doesn't have like a lot of range, so typically he'll like laser or something like that. But
so I think everything that I did there I thought was good until he full hopped, and then I just again panicked. And
it was like, oh, what do I do, right?
Yeah, I
And
just
even
short hop
before
didn't do
that,
anything.
I think when you lasered him, you were in a really strong situation.
And I backed up again.
Yeah, because like honestly, had he nared over your laser, you would have got hit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I think your instinct was like, okay, I need to back up because he's like doing something. But like, you honestly should have either just believed in it or at least like maybe crouched or something.
Yeah.
But like dashing back was really, I think, one of the worst options after that laser.
Yeah, definitely 100%.
Yeah. So
Like I
like,
said, I get into these scramble situations where like everything's really close up, and I
and then
just
you're like, I got
think
to
like
move back,
I want to back up so I can force some kind of mix up from slightly farther away.
which is often the right choice. Again, it's a lot like the AC Bear Shine thing, where it's not that it's not the right choice; it's that when it isn't the right choice, it screws you over.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that those are two good notes. You could just write those down and grind it out on your own and kind of do some shadow boxing with it, and then go play some friendlies and be like, okay, I'm going to pay strictly attention to these two things.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see this full hop. This one felt like you when you wait. Actually, I'm curious. When you try to wave dash, do you short hop or full hop if you mess up?
I full hopped, so that was
Okay,
not.
just making sure. It'll be useful for future watching.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so do you think you maybe just didn't see the full hop there?
Yeah, probably. I honestly couldn't tell you why I short hopped. It's
It was probably
totally
just
bad
not
decision.
seeing the full hop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the other
Mm-hmm.
one, I think you saw it, and then this one,
Yep.
you. So that's probably just like making sure you react when you laser.
Mm-hmm.
I like what you did afterwards, though. This was all really good. You messed up again,
Yeah. That was me. I short hopped from the side platform, then I double jumped
and
because
then
I was
you
like,
fixed it. You were like, "Wait, I shouldn't be doing this."
yeah, yeah.
But you could have just done something better in the first place, right? But again, since you
Right.
messed up, your instinct was just to like jump off.
Mm-hmm.
And even here, I feel like you're kind of on that autopilot jump off. And Mango didn't read it this time, but like,
Mm-hmm.
if I were playing you at this point, it would be reasonable to be like, okay, he's gonna jump off.
Mm-hmm.
I think even here, when you short hopped on the top platform, do you think you meant to fall through? Or do you think
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? So you meant to fall through, you messed up, and then you tried to do it again anyway.
So this is gonna be dumb. I'm sure you'll understand. It's actually a controller problem.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, my controller has like a different dead zone than the one that I'm used to practicing
Oh,
on.
that's
And so I try to fall through, but end up just pressing down, and then I don't fall through.
mhm.
When I lost to Wizzy at Summit, it was like game 5 last stock. I tried to do a fall through laser, but I just short hop and then I standing laser on the top platform, and he
No,
kills me for it. Yeah.
that's not.
So I have to practice a little bit more just doing that sequence. I think with my current controller, but that was definitely the idea, was to do like a drop through laser.
Yeah, and it was pretty clear that you wanted to, and it was a great option. But
Yeah.
then what I think is a big deal is again, once you messed up, you tried to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was no reason to try to do it again, I think.
Right.
That's the dash attack you were talking about. On the side platform. And then let's see what you did after. Oh, that laser was unfortunate. But like
Yeah.
getting the right height.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Oh, I could not believe he did that forward smash.
I was surprised you didn't back air though.
Yeah, I definitely should have.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy F smash, but you also should have just taken the back air on shield.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that covers just more options.
I think that most of the time I would too. It's kind of weird that I did that down air.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a crazy F smash though. But again, that just shows Mango's very ready in all the scrambles.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it doesn't really feel like, to me at least, when I watch Mango play, it's not that he was ready for this ultra high level, interactive gameplay. It's just he's ready for you to not be ready.
Mm-hmm. That
Like
makes
more
sense.
so than like he's ready for you to be ready and then outplays you.
Mm-hmm. So this is another time where it's like my move prioritization is so bad.
It was just
Why
bad, yeah.
why am I grabbing on the tech chase?
Do you feel like so? What do you need to do to fix that? Because like obviously in your head, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to react and pick better options. I think I have a habit of like dash attacking and dash grabbing when I'm reacting because I think that it's really easy.
Yeah, it is way easier.
Yeah, so I think I just need to force myself to do the hard things, which they're not even that hard as Falco,
Yeah,
especially with side platform tech chasing.
I think. Well, do you think you could just fix it by playing friendlies, or do you need to solo grind it?
Probably a little bit of both because I think it's so ingrained in me that I need to like probably work on it by myself and then like bring it to actual
Yeah,
gameplay and like do it.
that sounds good then. I was just asking so that you make sure you have a plan because I think
Hmm.
another trap is when something's too obvious, we don't come up with a good plan to fix it.
Hmm.
Because like you obviously know what's wrong, but like if that makes it too easy, you might not like figure out the right proportion of like solo versus friendlies practice.
Hmm.
So I'm just mentioning it so that you have it in mind.
Definitely, definitely.
Um, and now I feel like you're kind of trying to force the hit on him, but
Yeah,
again,
super.
like he's not gonna get hit by like attacking the side platform randomly for the most part.
Hmm.
Yeah, so he shields it, and then you go up here, and then he moves out of the way already. And then this is like his first really big opening, and I feel like it just came off of you doing like kind of a bad short hop fall through.
Yep.
I mean, he chose a pretty weird option, admittedly, like
Hmm.
doing those double lasers, but also like you didn't need to do anything there when you were on the top platform, right?
Hmm.
Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
like you were just
definitely.
chilling. He was jumping, and this is where Mango did the thing that you were talking about, where he jumps off to the side to laser you, and it's like, well, if he
Yep.
just like waited, he just like gave you the position for free. You could have even short hopped towards him and attacked him, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I feel like again, it's easy to get sucked into what's going on.
Definitely. I think it's just like a little bit of patience. It's a lot of this is Mango's crazy, but
Yeah, that was nuts.
a lot of that game is just like every time I feel like I'm getting hit with something meaningful from Mango, it's because I'm getting too antsy. So like
Yep.
you diagnosing that so early on, like looking through this game through that lens just makes so much sense.
Yeah, it changes how you can view the whole game, right?
Yeah.
And then you can see, were you antsy just because that's how you play the matchup, or was it because you messed up and like different ones, or is it, is it because you messed up and then tried to get your footing, or is it because you messed up and tried to do the same thing again? And like those are all actually like individual different reasons, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think if you tackle them one by one and say, okay, when I mess up, I'm not going to just try to do the same thing I just messed up. Or if I messed up and I don't have my footing, I'm not going to try to force it. If you fix
Hmm.
those one at a time, I think that'll be way more effective than just like looking at it as like an overall thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, that makes sense.
so I think we didn't actually talk about the Falco Ditto that much, but I think that's okay because I wanted to find things that we could extrapolate to like your gameplay as a whole.
Yeah.
I think we did that hopefully,
Hmm.
um, and talked about again how to practice certain things, etc. So the question is now: do you want to watch the next game of this? Do you want to switch sets? Do you want to talk about Falco Dittos specifically, as opposed to just like what you were doing in them? What do you want to do?
Um, Goodness, that's an interesting question. It'd be awesome to do all of them, but obviously we have 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, the next game I actually think is extremely different. I think I like almost get four stocked or
Okay.
something.
If it's extremely different, that's great. Then let's watch it.
I'm not certain if the play is extremely different. I might be getting punished for very similar reasons, but
The
it'll
way it
be
plays out is different.
yeah. I'm pretty certain that that's how this game goes.
Hmm. Okay. Well, first thing that happens is the scramble goes bad. You obviously could have shined him, but then like, you didn't quite get it.
Yep.
So let's see. Oh, crazy. Again, you did the down air thing, so maybe that's
Yeah.
actually a thing.
Uh huh. Okay, that's good to recognize.
Yeah. Like, okay, actually, interesting. So even when you were up at the top, if you had back aired, that I think that would have hit him
Hmm.
more likely
Instead of
than
coming. Okay.
not.
And it's probably bad to downer him out of the air right there anyway,
Yeah,
right?
it's bad. Back air gets you more damage, and also, um, I think a big thing with back air is it contorts your hurt box.
Hmm.
So if you look at like the angle he was coming at you at, you raising your body kind of with back air might make it so that by the time he gets there, he's missing while your hitbox is out.
Yeah. Okay,
So that's
that
why
makes
back
sense.
air is better at that angle.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you messed up there.
Yep.
But again, you did kind of an antsy recovery once you like. I assume you didn't mean to just dash straight at him.
Right.
Yeah, but then now that that happened, I think you did kind of like a worse recovery than you have been doing.
Mm-hmm. I did like a panicky thing. Like I messed up into a panicky thing.
Yeah, and
Like,
you were like, okay, this is probably gonna edge cancel, double jump, quick side B, like I'm gonna
yeah.
get back, and it's like, dude, Mango was never gonna cover you getting the edge there. Like
Yeah.
maybe someone else would have, but like Mango definitely wasn't going to.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like you're chasing him around a ton, so then you're not ever keeping your position.
Mm-hmm.
which can be good if he stays. And I think, like, funnily enough, the way you're playing this stock is kind of the opposite of how I play the Ditto, which sometimes hurts me and sometimes helps me. So versus people who kind of just don't do anything, nothing ever happens when I play them. But on the flip side, if you look at how Mango's positioning, I went
Mm-hmm.
back to where you're respawning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so watch this. He's on side and he comes down to the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But like you weren't able to capitalize on him just coming straight down to the middle because you were already trying to chase him.
Mm-hmm. That's actually something, the more I played Mango, and maybe even happens more throughout this set, he kind of avoids me in that way. He goes to side platform and makes me chase him, and then he'll come down into center, and like if I put myself in the corner, he turn around lasers, and
Yep.
then like if it's something else, he'll just like fall down with an aerial, and then he has like center stage and control. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I was the one with invincibility. How did this happen?
Yeah, and it's just because you're trying to force the hit.
Yeah.
And I think you need to do a better judgment call on how much time you have to like
Mhm.
get to a certain location. Because like I think the beginning of it, you actually tried to read him going to top, but like
Yeah.
it was
Oh.
clearly too late by the time because you were at the bottom while he was jumping, right?
So I just want to mention really quickly, and this is probably even a bad thing, but Mango and I played a set like a week before this or something,
Uh-huh.
and I also took a game, and he went to the top platform like every single time in between stocks when I had
Mhm.
invincibility. So for this set, I was thinking I'm just going to attack the top platform when he comes up,
Mhm. Which
and
is
so
fine, but you what I would do, and I actually do this a lot, is ledge cancel dare, fall off, and then double jump
mm,
instead of touching the ground first.
that makes sense.
But more importantly, just having a good concept of time is
Hmm.
huge there. Because if you don't have time to get there, you just shouldn't waste your time, right?
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Cool. Um, Here's another scramble also where you chose to laser, where I 100% would have done a back air.
Yeah.
Like it looked like you were setting up for a back air even.
Right. I do that laser so much in every matchup too, every single one.
And the back air is pretty powerful there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mess up into weird
Yeah, mess
scramble.
up and to get dared out of the air and to not be almost. So three of the hits I think have been dared out of the air.
Yeah.
And you not getting your thing. Yeah, I can tell. Like you started playing so badly. Like you're missing everything, and like.
Yeah.
But again, I think this just goes back to like you feeling uncomfortable. But like the discomfort can come from like a variety of sources.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think identifying them one by one and working on it, like even watching the VOD, like imagining yourself like what you would do instead, or visualizing like not being uncomfortable, or playing
Mm-hmm.
some friendlies where you pay attention to each one of those specific things. All of that I think will help.
Okay. Perfect.
Mm. Also, I don't know if this is how you play in general, but at least here it kind of feels like, oh, that was sick. We're not
Thank
really
you.
getting to see like, in my opinion, like I haven't seen anything that feels Falco Ditto specific at all in this
Yeah.
set. Like if I were to like describe this matchup to someone, and like me and Sleepy were to play Falco Dittos, it would look
Mm-hmm.
like literally the complete opposite of this. But I feel like I can't tell if that's because you're like getting caught up in Mango's pace, or if this is also how you play it.
Yeah, I feel like Mango and I play at very similar paces, especially in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we're kind of just, I don't know. In what instances do you think that this is different from like the way that you and Sleepy would play it?
It's like no one is establishing an advantage for an extended period of time, I guess.
Hmm.
So, like, my simplest way of explaining the Ditto in my mind is like, okay, so you get laser control, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's really hard for the other Falco to do anything because it's like, so they generally have to like run away, which is kind of what you were doing the first game. It's like, oh, Mango lasered me, I'm going to go to the side platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then as the set has gone on, it's like you guys are establishing a concrete position less and less, or an advantage. Like almost every hit came out of a scramble, not out of like a established neutral win.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't think it's bad to scramble, but it's like neither one of you seems to be doing like the. It's like how you said earlier, how you used to always retreat in scrambles, or you have that problem. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like very little decision making is being made about, is it better to fight here or is it better to create a bigger advantage?
Mm-hmm.
Like the option is almost always fight for both of you.
Right.
Funnily enough, the only time it's not fight for you is actually when you're right next to him,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
true.
kind of strange, but like I understand why, because I have a similar thing.
Yeah.
But do you get what I mean about the neutral game?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That makes a
And
lot
that's
of
not
sense.
inherently bad, but I think it prevents you from like learning about the matchup in any context that's not like micro situation.
Yeah. I also feel like sometimes it can also get pretty muddy when I play against a Falco who's more willing to do more Falco Ditto specific things or try to like hold on to control against me, as
Mhm.
opposed to someone who's willing to fight me like Mango. Because then
Because
I
this
feel
is where
like,
you're comfortable.
yeah, this is where I'm comfortable. It's like, okay, we're both playing at the same pace. Like, if he goes for a laser, I'm like gonna try to read him doing this. Like, if he's doing this on the side platform, I'll try to read him doing this.
Mhm.
Um, and so it feels like we're just kind of going back and forth in this thing where like other Falcos are willing to either wait for a lot longer or like establish control and then wait for me to do something bad.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
And I
that makes
mean,
a lot of sense.
and when I play this matchup, I try to play it really aggressively still. It's just like I try to establish control while I do it. Because
Hmm.
I feel like otherwise we're just testing like again, I'm not actually creating an advantage. I'm just hoping I can outfight him.
Hmm.
Which again can be good if you're better at it, but it doesn't always work out. Like we saw here versus Mango, it's like I mean, you didn't. I mean, I wouldn't even say his hits were super legit because half of them were daring you out of the air. But because you're doing like, I wouldn't even say you messed up because it's like you were doing other inputs. It's really hard to do other inputs and then switch to shining, right?
Yeah, true.
Like if you're doing, let's say, shine wave dash, and then
Hmm.
like you accidentally mess up a wave dash and go airborne for a frame and he dares you out of that, you're not going to switch from wave dashing to shining fast.
Yeah, true.
So I guess I would put some thought into I like what you said a lot when you were talking about like, okay, he's gonna laser and then I'm gonna read him doing this. Think about when do I actually need to read him, or when is it a good idea to read him, versus when is it not even relevant for me to be doing.
Hmm.
And I think if you make that a decision, you'll probably just naturally change how you play.
Okay, I like that a lot.
Cool.
Do you have any like specific like neutral game tools that you think I could do to maybe do this? Do you think it's just like more laser in place or?
I think it's the combination. So, like on Battlefield specifically, it's like you either laser in place or approaching laser, depending on how much frame advantage you have. So if he has more
Mhm.
frame advantage, you have to laser in place. If you have more, you can approaching laser. And
Okay.
that was kind of highlighted by that one clip we saw where you messed up and then you both approached and you lost.
Hmm.
So yeah, if so again, laser in place if you have frame disadvantage. I think you should always move forward if you guys are far apart and it's neutral frame advantage.
Hmm.
Like there's literally no time I wouldn't just move forward. Um, if you can't do either of those things, I would either attempt to power shield or shield and then laser at a shield or
Hmm.
jump to a side platform. And I
Okay.
feel like those are kind of the only options I personally choose in neutral.
Hmm.
And I mean, obviously, there's other things you can do, but it's like here, let's go back actually and watch some of this and try to find. So the first stock obviously wasn't even a stock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if the second stock. Yeah, so you messed up there. Okay, third stock. Great. Okay. This is going fine. You're attacking. Okay, so here everything looked good, and this was like the most neutral scenario possible.
Hmm.
And you even won that laser situation because he lasered too high. But then what happened here?
I tried to do a second approaching laser. It looked like, or maybe that was my idea. It looks like I actually just ran up and did nothing
Yeah,
potentially
you like
even.
ran up and did right. You like ran up really far and then jumped. So that was a classic situation where if that were me and I got my laser out, I would just instantly be lasering again, either forward or in place.
Hmm.
But like again, I can't. It feels kind of hard to judge what's going on because it feels so clearly that when you're actually at neutral, you're not able to do things you want to do because because you're like either overwhelmed or thinking about other things or at the previous pace essentially.
Hmm. Hmm.
So like I don't doubt that you know these things, but we're not even getting to see them.
Definitely.
And then see now it's a bunch of fighting. So let's see. So you got back to neutral. This is good. But look how you got back to neutral. It was with an attack, so then you lost laser control.
Yeah.
But
True.
then when you didn't have laser control, you tried to laser anyway, and then he beat you to it, right?
Hmm.
So again, I think the dynamic of reestablishing control, and then if you don't have it, and then when you do have it, taking advantage of it. So it's
Hmm.
not like Mango's not doing this, but like it kind of feels like you're not playing that game.
Right. Okay.
So like that nair could have been
A turnaround
maybe a
laser even.
turnaround laser, right?
Yeah.
and then you would have had laser control.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if you did that nair and then you lost laser control, what could you have done? So let's watch it again.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
So like, what would you? So after that nair, like you
Mm-hmm.
clearly don't have time to laser before he lasers, right?
Right.
So like,
I
how?
could have done something in place. Like I could have up tilted there instead of just dash back lasering, which is what I
Mhm.
attempted to do.
So up tilt would have been great if you think he's going to move forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could also just hold shield if you think he's going to move forward, because
Mm.
if he runs into your space and he's expecting you to retreat, you can always shine out a shield, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you do want to retreat, like you're not comfortable in that zone and you don't think he's going to approaching laser like you did. You could just dash back, and then if you see the laser, you can go for a power shield. You could even
Mm-hmm.
get hit and then dash away again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, just like not trying to laser when you didn't have time to would have just made all the difference, right?
Right. That goes back to like essentially everything, like judging how much time that I have to do things, and also like me being antsy and just choosing an option.
Yeah, and that point right there is, I guess, why I'm saying like this looks so different than like a Falco Ditto I would play, because
Mm-hmm.
that whole situation is probably like the core of how I try to play the matchup. It's like making that judgment call on who, I guess, whose turn is it to laser, and then if
Mm-hmm.
it's his turn, what do I do about it?
Right. Okay.
But I think that aspect of the matchup, which I think is like the major aspect of how neutral works, currently doesn't exist, because I think 80% of the time you guys are just fighting, and then the
Mm-hmm.
20% of the time you're not fighting, it's hard to revert back.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like if you're playing neutral the whole time, it's really easy to stay in that mindset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But because of the nature of you versus Mango, I think it's harder for you to stay in that mindset. So I don't feel like I'm actually getting to see how good or not good you are at it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay.
I know these are concepts you already get.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Gets back to, so again, you think you're fighting, right? So what do?
Mm-hmm.
You do this dare out of shield, but Mango wasn't actually fighting you at all, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the trap. You feel like, okay, we're just going at it, but Mango's not actually going at it with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially when I'm on the side platform, I
Yeah,
feel like
that's
I.
like, yeah, exactly. Especially,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're on the side. So yeah, it's kind of just like you think you guys are playing this game, but Mango's actually doing the thing where when it's not his turn, he's waiting, or when it's his turn. See, he tried
Oh
to
my
establish
god.
laser control, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So it's like you guys are fighting, but he's actually trying to play the matchup like a little bit more than you are. And I
Right.
think again, part of that is being tricked by playing Mango, where it
Mm-hmm.
feels like you're doing one thing.
Definitely. God, sometimes it's just so embarrassing watching me aerial from the platform over and
Right? Because
over again.
but like in the moment, I understand why you're doing it because I know how it feels to play that matchup. I know how it feels to
Yeah.
play Mango. But I think if you take a step back and like play with the, I guess what I would call like the more basic rules of the matchup,
Mm-hmm.
and then if we ever have a VOD of you doing that, then I think we can talk about it a lot better.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, that makes
again,
sense.
I have no metric for how good or bad you are at that thing, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the thing that you would need to change.
Right.
Cool.
Well, do you mind maybe if we watch the next game kind of in real time and then potentially just talk about like the things that we felt like either went good or bad?
Yeah, let's.
Just
So this is the game you win, right?
this is the game that I win, and I like take time to think about it, and I was like, okay, play a little bit more patient, blah blah blah.
You
And I
did a battleship.
thought about some of the things that he was doing. So I'm curious what I change, or if I'm just getting lucky doing the same
Mhm.
type of fighting that we were doing before.
Yeah, yeah. I guess let's see. Well, that was a cool full hop. I think it did a good job countering him just trying to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think previously you didn't do an amazing job of. Remember how we said like, okay, Mango's like not actually staying in the position, but you're always trying to just hit him where he is.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have done that full hop. I would have probably just like tried to again establish some sort of laser control.
Mm-hmm.
But again, at least the full hop interacted with Mango trying to reposition, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that just wasn't something that happened before. And then he dares you out of the air, and lo and behold, you shine him, and it changes everything, right?
Right.
So I think like even just simple changes like that made a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you run away. I like this. So even if you didn't laser, because honestly, lasering's maybe not that amazing when he's on the side platform. It kind of doesn't do anything. You
Mm-hmm.
at least ran over and took position, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just from a purely positional perspective, I feel like what you're doing is much better. So I don't like that you just fell down from the top platform.
Yeah, that's also another bad habit that I keep doing. Kalindi is luckily punishing me for it every time now, so
So you'll
uh,
hopefully fix it.
yeah, hopefully I'll fix it. That was good too. I feel like
Yep.
I recognized the slide off, backed off, and then
Yep, and
made
then didn't
kind of a good
overextend on the
decision.
sign off, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny how like just changing those things makes it so that like Mango is so much less overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Because like thus far, I don't really feel like Mango's had to actually play. He's just like been taking advantage of the fact that he is more aware than you, or that you're doing something bad.
Yeah.
So like if you play like this the next game too, I imagine that Mango would like play a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's look at the laser situation here on the right side. So I think you get your laser out, he gets his laser out, but I don't actually like that you did dash jump. So if we're talking about like the little laser battle here, if you laser there, you
Mm-hmm.
could do dash up, shield his laser, and then laser out of shield.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
But instead, you kind of gave up control. But
Mm-hmm.
I like that you double jumped away, and then like that was good awareness, obviously.
Oh god.
It happens.
Why would he do that?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Nice,
Got
you
him
caught
on
him
the
going
top
to top.
platform.
So how did you catch him going to top? Did you see what thing you did?
I double jumped.
Yep, you did the launch cancel double. So again, it's not like you had a
Uh,
different read. You actually covered it appropriately.
mm-hmm.
Again, though, when it comes time to laser control, I feel like you didn't establish it well. If you look at here,
Yeah.
after that forward tilt, I think it took you too long to shoot your laser.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you shot it earlier, I actually think it could have stuffed his laser. Let me go back. So you F tilt
Mm-hmm.
him. Yep, I think it could
Yeah.
have shot a faster one. So see, like when it comes to the laser battle, I actually feel like you've consistently like made a mediocre decision. But
Mm-hmm.
everything else has been much better. Again, side platform, you were intent on jumping off. You tried something different at least, though, which was cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the next time I actually hit the aerial somehow. I don't know why he dashed.
Yeah, it actually works that time. But you know why it worked probably? Because you were winning this game, so Mango was thinking about different things. Like literally, it wasn't like you did something different. It's just like you weren't getting whooped, so like now Mango's thinking about other things, and now it actually works.
That makes sense. And I'm actually doing the back air from the side platform instead of down air.
Have you noticed that you've back aired almost every time you've been on the side?
Yeah. I was gonna mention that.
Yeah, which is great. And then you laser, and then you just didn't take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, establish laser control, and then you did the dash jump again.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say this is probably a big thing to change in this matchup. When you both laser at the same time, one, I think you need to laser higher so that it stuffs him more often.
Mm-hmm.
Two, if you get your laser first, you should shield his laser and then do something. That's like a common pattern, I think, in Ditto, where I got my laser slightly first. So I guess there's two versions of it. One is you laser, and then you have enough time to laser again as the next one's coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
But that requires a lot of time, like a big advantage.
Yeah.
But if you only have a small advantage in the laser war, then you do shield and then do the next.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It definitely makes sense.
Cool. Nice.
That was kind of more of like I messed up and then tried to do an anti thing again, and then he just counterattacked.
And he covered it. Honestly, I really like what you just did, which is, again, when I said like Falco dittos look super different here than mine, this is something I would do all the time. You try to do something, it didn't work, you just held shield, and then you just rolled away.
Yeah.
I do that so much when I play this matchup. Because like, if you just go for something and it works, you get big damage. And if it doesn't work, Falco's grab game isn't that good, so you can just hold shield.
Mm-hmm.
Most pressure is like pretty easy to roll away from, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Without him like hard calling it out. So it's just like you roll away, and then funnily enough, because he was doing something while you rolled, you got to attack.
Yeah.
And I actually like do this so much in the matchup. But like that was the first time we saw that. So I think the way you're playing has actually been pretty different this game.
Definitely.
I guess what concerns me is that to me, this didn't require adaptation to Mango so much as it just required you to take a better approach to playing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I want to know your thoughts on that. Because if you could do that this game, I have no doubt that you could just play the Falco Diddle.
Yeah. I mean, I think I just need to... It's partly be me being more cognizant, but I would imagine that like if I played this matchup more correctly or just like established more control while I'm paying attention and trying not to mess up and making good decisions, then like it could go extremely well for me.
Yeah, I think so for sure. So I would, my best advice then would be to think about the like difference between this game and the other game. So I definitely don't think you got lucky. You just played completely differently.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think a lot of the core Falco Ditto things actually still went poorly for you. It's just, again, they happen very rarely when you and Mango play.
Yeah.
But that's a choice. Either one of you could force it on the other person and they would have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just decided to laser in a way that he had to deal with, he wouldn't have a choice. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think getting better at those little laser situations, being willing to do things like just shielding and rolling, or like just full hopping when he can't hit you, just doing things that the other character struggles to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And then fixing all the things that you fixed from that game to this game. And if you can take that to all your future Falco Ditto friendlies and make that like a consistent way you play it, I think you'll be really well off in that.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool. Okay. So do you have any thoughts that you would like to share before we wrap up?
I don't know. I feel really good about this. I feel like I learned a lot of things. I feel like there were a lot of we were looking at this through a lens that I don't think that I would have looked at it through if I was just watching it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And like just recognizing the situations where I was getting hit. A lot of times when I do my own analysis, I think like, oh well, this option beat this option. But a lot of times I won't necessarily think about like what my like emotional state was that would have like forced me to do that sort of option. So like thinking about me being antsy in all those situations is like, oh, I get randomly forward smash. What do I do next? Like a really fast bad recovery, or like, okay, he got a slide off and like I missed my punish. What do I do? Try to immediately follow up and do something kind of stupid, right? It's like I'm not trying to reposition. I'm not trying to gain the control. I'm trying to force things because I'm antsy.
Yeah, and I think the biggest disconnect here is the fact that when you're looking at those things objectively, you know you wouldn't be doing a lot of those bad things, so they probably just come off more as confusing decisions or, oh, I just played bad, or why am I doing that?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you already know, but I think, again, that's often the trap when you actually know a lot of things, is that it's hard to take that step back and figure out where the root issue is.
Mm-hmm.
And funnily enough, when you think about the players you've lost to, like a lot of these more, I guess, like veteran top players, like are good at just beating stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you look at someone like Swedish, you can't choose panic things for Swedish. It will not work.
Right.
Right? Like especially as Falco. With Fox, you can kind of get away with it sometimes, but Falco, like no way.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I can easily see how you lose to Swedish if based on just watching this set, because it's like, oh look, you might not play well consistently for all these different reasons, and he's just going to kill you the times you don't.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the rest of everything you do is going to be good. Cool. Well, I'm glad you felt like you learned a lot. If you have questions, feel free to message me at any point. I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Okay.
But yeah, really try to grind this stuff out one by one, both all in watching VODs and solo practice and in friendlies. Don't like, I think doing all three will be very helpful.
Yeah, I definitely plan on it. Yeah, I mean, I took notes the entire time and I wrote down a ton of stuff that I'm really excited to work on. So that's really good.
Okay, then my last thought is if you wrote down a ton, try to have some sense of prioritization for it, because I think one of the most common traps I've found when I'm helping people is they get overwhelmed by the number of things and they're really hyped to work on it all, but then they don't get the most important ones done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So figure out what you think is the most important for the Falco Ditto, and then what's most important for you in general, and tackle those first. And the small things, like, they'll come eventually, or you can check your notes later, you know?
Okay.
All right. Well, have a great day, Avery. And like I said, feel free to message me whenever.
Yeah, you have a good one too, Sammy.
Thanks.
See ya.
Yep. See ya.